Hey darlings. Again, your little boy has been a troublemaker all day. The angry voice of the landlady Antonina Timofeevna did not bode well. Valentina sighed, 25 again. Why is she messing with Gleb so much? He is not a hooligan and not a troublemaker. An ordinary child who needs to play and run, nothing more. But it seems that he irritates his owner just because of his appearance. What happened? Valentina asked dumiously, preparing herself for an unpleasant conversation. Sorry, what? I was running around the beds again and climbed trees. I'm not going to touch my garden so that this hooligan breaks everything there. Calm the bastard down, otherwise this won't end well. Don't you dare swear at my son. The mother raised her voice. Show him what he broke and then there will be something to talk about. And if not, then there is no conversation. Look, you started talking. Even Antonina Timofeevna's forehead turned red with indignation. Don't show up. I'll write to the guardian that your son is out there alone. You're going to have some problems. How dare you say such a thing? You know I'm raising Gleb alone. And you want to cause me additional problems? 1. And who is to blame for this? If I had less pride, I would be with my husband and not be afraid of guardianship. Look, some sufferer has been found. Give her a prince instead of common men. Ah, that's it, Valentina choked in hindsight. So you blurted out Antonina Timofeevna for your unlucky son, then bear a grudge against me. I didn't greet him. Oh, and I would like to have a good destiny. To give my idle husband something to drink and feed, and to get him out of the bars. Antonina Timofeevna's son Vasily really had his eye on Valentina when he and Gleb moved into his mother's old but spacious house. But he did not inspire confidence in his wife. He was impudent, unceremonious, and reckless. Vasily was not allowed to approach, and as it turned out later, rightly so. Word of mouth quickly told Valentina that she likes to look into a bottle, doesn't work anywhere consistently, does odd jobs, and Antonina Timofeevna sleeps and dreams of marrying her donkey to a decent woman in the secret hope that then it will settle below. But Valentina, who learned from the difficulties of her first marriage, was not happy at the prospect of putting such misfortune around her neck again. Antonina Timofeevna's resentment, which arose at that time, apparently grew stronger all this time, and now, when Vasily hit all the hard things, it began to spread more and more intensely over the innocent heads of his tenants. In the living room, Valentina was received by her cautious son. Mom, I didn't break anything in the garden. I just walked along the path. And he sat down in the tree, on the thickest branch of an old apple tree. I understand everything, son. If this continues, we will look for new housing. In the meantime, you know, you're on vacation anyway. I'll take you to work with me. We allow this if children do not interfere with other people's work. You're not going to be naughty and make a fuss there, are you? I won't go, the boy promised, and I'm already scared of staying with the boss. You never know what she won't like again. The next day, Gleb was sitting in the back of the trading company's office, drawing dragons in a notebook and looking curiously through the crack in the half-open door, from where he could see the office corridor with employees running from one side to the other. I wanted to run painfully, but it was impossible. Mom sternly warned me not to stick my nose in the pantry until lunchtime. When will this break be? Finally, around noon, the aroma of coffee invaded the office. Employees rushed to the exit with the clear intention of going for a snack, and Gleb cheered up. Now Mom will come, and they will have lunch in a real dining room. But for some reason the mother didn't come. Stagnant energy and a hungry stomach took their toll, and the boy went looking for his mother in these unfamiliar corridors with transparent doors. Mom was nowhere to be found. Finally, he came across an unusual door with frosted glass. Maybe she is here? Malyake opened the door hesitantly. There was no one in the beautiful office with a cityscape on the wall. But there was another door, massive, wooden, with a beautiful bronze handle. It seemed as if you would say to her, "Open sesame," and there would be found a cave with treasures. Forgetting all caution, Gleb pulled the handle and didn't understand how he ended up inside. A flowering plant with large red flowers was found with flowers, a cactus, and a figurine of a hunting dog on a stand on the side table. The boy was attracted to the dog like a magnet. Holding his breath, he looked at the hanging ears, the concentrated expression of the animal's muzzle, the tense muscles under the fur, and the alarmed sounds of his mother's voice brought him out of his contemplation and, remembering that he had violated all the prohibitions, Gleb shuddered and accidentally dropped the folders and notebooks on him on the table. He began to feverishly pick up everything and put it back, but suddenly froze among the scattered objects. There was an open woman's bag with a photograph that had fallen out of it. Hug with Romka's father, the major, as he was called at school, a bully and slacker who did not receive his share of blows largely because he was brought to and from school by a shiny black car, which ruled out the possibility of an ambush, the arrogant guy somewhere behind the garages. What is that? On the office threshold stood an angry man, obviously my mother's most important boss, and behind him, a breathless and confused mother who couldn't keep up with her son. "Uncle, I wanted to see this, the dog, but I accidentally dropped everything. But I collected almost everything," Gleb explained, holding the ill-fated photograph in his hands. "Sorry, this is my son," Valentina stammered. "I had no one to leave him with. He went looking for me and got a little lost." "Well, I'm lost, right?" Frowning, the office owner approached Gleb and took the photograph from his hands. "Where is this from?" "It fell out of this bag," said the boy, trying not to look away, picking up the unbuttoned bag. "For some reason, it's wearing my classmate and your father." "And my wife," the boss blurted out, gritting his teeth, not noticing how Valentina, panting, slowly pulled her son towards the exit of the office and hurriedly closed the door. Innocenty Borisovic was returning home in a disgusting mood. "There was an unpleasant conversation ahead with my wife. I urgently needed to find out what kind of photo she had forgotten." His wife, fortunately, was at home and he moved in immediately. "Rima, please explain. Who are you hugging, glowing with happiness?" The photograph fell on the coffee table. "Maybe you should say hello first," she replied whimsically, taking the photo. His face remained impenetrable. "I'm looking forward to hearing it. What should I answer?" "This is my old acquaintance from school. We met by chance and decided to serve as a souvenir. I printed the photo for him. Are you looking at my bags now? You left your bag in my office, and the cleaning lady's son accidentally dropped it. By the way, he knows this boy. He studies at the same school as him." Innocenty Borisovic began to doubt the validity of his suspicions. "Of course, I have no right to say that there is no place for children in the office, but it is still so. Now let's have dinner. The role of Othello doesn't suit you." The wife got up from the chair and headed towards the kitchen with a proud posture. Dinner had already passed calmly, but as soon as Innocenty Borisovic went to watch the evening news, Rima dialed her friend's number. "Helen? Am I not distracting? Be a friend. Help me. You're personal, aren't you? Then find me the address and telephone number of your cleaning lady. My good friends need a reliable person to do spring cleaning, and she has a very good reputation." "Thank you, dear. You will help me a lot." "Well, my dear, don't blame me. Your son knows too much and tells too much," she said quietly out loud and began to apply a cosmetic mask to his face. The next day, an elegant, well-dressed woman spoke kindly to Antonina Timofeevna, who never expected such a visit. As a result, the stranger handed the landlady a snow-white envelope with large bills and, waving his hand, got into the car. "Well," thought Rima, heading toward the highway, "now you, boy, will have to move with your mother and, most likely, move to another school, where you will have fewer opportunities to ruin people's lives." In the evening, Valentina, returning from work, found Antonina Timofeevna in a formidable mood. The demand to immediately vacate the room was categorical and ultimatum. The stubborn hostess even agreed to refund the money for the remaining 3 paid days. As soon as he convinced her to let them at least spend the night, Valentina, a little tired, went to pack her things. As she hadn't yet decided whether she should be happy or sad, she started to help her. In the morning, Valentina, feverishly wondering where she could store all her things during the working day and how to urgently find housing, was distracted from her sad thoughts by a phone call. The female voice was unfamiliar, but introduced herself as being from the HR department. Valentina Alexandrovna, yesterday we didn't have time to warn you that the office was switching to remote work 2 weeks ago. You will receive temporary downtime. We will be waiting for you at your workplace in exactly 2 weeks, on Monday. You will also be notified when the work week begins. Valentina just shrugged. When problems arise, open the gate. Although every cloud has a silver lining. Of course she will lose money, but at least she has time to calmly look for housing. The room was in a completely different area, also in a private house, with a lonely and friendly old woman who immediately allowed Gleb to climb any trees he wanted. The payment turned out to be very moderate and, putting things away, Valentina thought that the words, "Everything that God gives, everything is for the better," find regular confirmation in life. Exactly 2 weeks later, Valentina, without waiting for the promised phone call, went to work, but a very unpleasant surprise awaited her there. The HR department informed her that she had been fired for absenteeism, as she had not shown up for work for a long time. It also turned out that the phone number in his data had been carefully changed by someone. All attempts to explain that she had received a warning about remote work were in vain, and the woman, driven to despair, decided to make an appointment with her boss. Innocenty Borisovic greeted her very coldly. "Valentina, what kind of kindergarten is this? You are an adult woman, you had to call again and clarify the information, but it was impossible to contact you by phone. I don't know who played this prank on you, but we have already registered a new person. What do you want him to say? I'm sorry, but unfortunately I can't help. You say you don't know?" Valentina gave vent to her pent-up anger. "And the fact that all my problems started after Gleb found a photo of his wife doesn't bother you? The next day my landlady kicked me out and I got a stupid call about remote work, so I had to leave her office. Well, of course, who am I to respectable people? Only respectable people often sin with vices that unworthy people have neither the time nor the desire for." And slamming the door loudly, she left the boss's office. Innocenty Borisovic swore and threw the Newton Ball's table pendulum to calm his nerves. After searching the phone, he found the number he needed and, after waiting for the caller to answer, he said, "Kostya, I need your help in a delicate matter. This time it's personal. It would be necessary to collect more information about a lady's forms of leisure, or more precisely, my wife." Valentina drove home, barely holding back her sobs. How unfair. People seem to have gone collectively crazy. Antonina Timofeevna with her Vasily the director, point blank, unwilling to see evil, and his wife, who does not disdain any means of covering up her vile affairs. What is she doing in this cesspool? We need to get out of here immediately. Aunt Nura's house, strong and spacious, is empty in the village, and here she is working in rented apartments. We urgently need to take Labushka and go there. There is a school there, but she is not a woman with white hair. She will find something to do. Although it is a village, it is not a hinterland. The house greeted them with dusty curtains on the windows, creaking floorboards, and a neatly made swallow's nest under the roof covering. A neighbor immediately came out from behind the fence with the usual question in such cases. "Whose will you be?" "I'm Aunt Nura's niece, so I decided to settle here. I just don't know what will happen with the work. I didn't ask in advance." "If you don't know how to work, then you will find it," replied the neighbor authoritatively. The new barn was delivered today. You can get a job there. Aren't you afraid of cows? I'm not afraid of cows, but I milk them rarely and for a long time. Even when Aunt Nura held Zvezdaka, Valentina was embarrassed. There's not much difficulty. If there is an approach to animals, they will teach you. Go there tomorrow. Don't waste time. If you need anything, come in like a neighbor. So Valentina opened her new page in life, hoping to finally forget her misadventures. Inokenty Borisovic also expected this, and so much so that when Kostya called him with a message about some available information, he, recently surrounded by Rima's increased attention and concerns, simply ignored it. Kostya, don't be angry, this is no longer relevant. I will transfer the fee as agreed, but there is no need for a meeting. Thank you, friend. You are always a man of your word. Inokenty Borisovic was so excited about his unexpected honeymoon that he did not suspect any tricks. Meanwhile, one day, when he returned home, he didn't find Rima. She didn't come late at night or at night. In the morning, when she was already thinking about starting to call hospitals, Rima called herself. Honey, what are you doing? If you are going to the office, believe me, it is in vain. According to the available documents, you transferred your entire business to me, and today I will be sitting in your office. I will send photos of the documents to your phone so you can check. I'm also going to ask for a divorce with division of assets, except the business, of course, which is already mine, so as not to bother you. I hope you are a reasonable person and don't make wild and hysterical scenes. Besides, my security won't let you into the office anyway. Now you're nobody there anymore. I really wanted to make a scene, but it would have been an own goal. Therefore, barely restraining himself, Inokenty Borisovic asked, And who carried out this coup with your help? You alone would not have the intelligence or influence to do this. Isn't it the same old-school friend you printed photos for? It doesn't matter at all now, Rima retorted. You heard what you needed to find out, and the rest isn't that important. And yet you were afraid to say it to my face. The deceived husband's anger filled with heavy lead. Why were you afraid? Will I ruin my face? It would be worth it, but I don't hit women, unfortunately. I don't dare let you have any remaining consciousness. It's too naive. But it is too early for you to calm down, my dears. He who laughs last laughs. The subscriber has disconnected. Inokenty Borisovic, forgetting all the rules of decency, sincerely swore. Messages started arriving on the phone. After examining them and making sure that his wife's ability to put her signature if necessary played a cruel trick on her, the deceived husband threw a malachite ashtray at Rima's portrait, breaking the glass with its frame in pieces, and reached into the bar to get a bottle of whiskey. Nothing more constructive appeared in his desperate brain at that moment. A few days passed. The bar was empty, and so was the fridge. Having found nothing that would strengthen the spirit and body, Inokenty Borisovic climbed into the cold shower, exposing his buzzing head to the refreshing streams. Is this necessary? His life's work went down the drain. Is he really going to sit and wait by the sea for the weather? Who to contact? Partners are unreliable. Rima could already come to an agreement with them. Perhaps the only way out is to call Kostya. It was a shame he didn't listen to him back then. He wouldn't have had this headache now. Constantine, you can talk? Here's the thing. We need to meet urgently, but my office isn't suitable for that right now. Nominate a place yourself, please. An hour later, Constantine, sitting opposite Inokenty Borisovic in a small, inconspicuous cafe, thoughtfully stirred the already cooled coffee and frowned. We need a graphological examination, Inokenty Borisovic. And not the one the court appoints. They can bribe her, but the one to whom we will take the documents and be the first to initiate this case. Do you still have the key to the safe? Yes, and Rima doesn't know that. It was believed that there was only one, and it was kept in a secret place in my office. This is amazing. Do you have your own people in your office? Yes, but they don't enter my office without permission. Only a cleaning lady, system administrator, or electrician can enter without suspicion. In fact, because of the story in this photo, a very decent woman just lost her job at my company. Maybe try to find and organize this? She definitely has a grudge against Rima. That's something. Constantine nodded. Let's look for it. A few days later, Valentina, returning from the farm, saw an unknown foreign car near her house. It turns out it was his former boss with an unknown young man. Not satisfied with such a visit, she nevertheless invited them to the house and listened to the dramatic story of the loss of the business with the subsequent offer to obtain documents for a very generous reward. "You are crazy," she was indignant, barely containing the strong desire to throw uninvited guests out the door. So when I found myself on the street with no job and a roof over my head, no one cared. And now I was needed, and in such a risky business. Look for a fool elsewhere. The detective gritted his teeth, and Innocenty Borisovic begged more than ever. "Valentina, I understand how unfair I was to you. But if you really look at it, we are all victims of the same conspiracy. I lost everything because of my wife, who forged my signature. You lost your home and your job because she decided to keep you at a safe distance so that nothing would suddenly interfere with her plan. Your son knew his accomplice, or rather the inspirer and organizer, so we shouldn't join forces to bring them to light. How many more people could suffer from your lack of scruples? I beg you very much, help us. These scoundrels must be punished." "Okay," Valentina replied, softening. "Tell me what I can do, and then we'll see." The next day, the head of the personnel department brought Rima, a new candidate for the position of cleaning lady, sitting in the director's office. The woman was confused, clearly depressed, and was behaving very insecurely. "I take it you once worked here?" Rima recognized Valentina. "Yes, but see, I was very guilty then. I didn't clarify the information about the temporary closure of the office, and I ended up with absenteeism. I beg you, please take me back. I have absolutely nothing to live on or feed my child. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll stay overtime. Just take me." The woman's eyes glistened treacherously with moisture. "Okay, don't create humidity here," Rima, in view of the successful coup, was complacent. "Start working immediately and keep in mind that the office should shine like a banquet hall in anticipation of important guests." Valentina nodded energetically and got to work. A copy of the key pulled out of her uniform pocket. The opportunity to freely enter the director's office did not arise immediately, and Valentina even began to worry whether the necessary documents would be there. But on the fourth day, Rima happily brought a bunch of exotic plants, tents, bags of soil to the office and sent Valentina to tidy up the green area, transplanting some plants into new pots. She left herself, and Valentina finally remained in the office with legal rights. Busy with the plants, she waited until the secretary left for lunch and immediately began implementing her former boss's instructions. The key clicked into the lock smoothly and flexibly. Worried, Valentina started looking through the folders and soon came across the one that was described to her. Closing the safe carefully, she wrapped it in the empty bags under the ground and, under the pretext that she needed to throw them in the trash, left the office. Constantine was already waiting for her in the car. After quickly scanning the contents, he raised his bright eyes to Valentina. "There's even more here than I expected. How did you decide to get these folders as well?" "I don't know," Valentina shrugged. "For some reason it seemed to me like they might be important. And you are not as simple as it might seem at first glance." Constantine looked at Valentina for the first time with undisguised interest. "Innocenty Borisovic, the end of the case is not far away," Constantine reported, placing papers on the restaurant table while waiting for the order. "Your signature was proven to be forged and your rights to the company were restored. Further, during the investigation, certain frauds were discovered during the bidding of government orders and many other interesting things." In this situation, your wife, ex-wife, and your accomplice will face real deadlines, and you will have a new financial turn just for legal reasons. To be honest, I thought I would be happy with the retribution, admitted Inikin Borisovic, but I was wrong. Emptiness, light bitterness, and regret for human wickedness and betrayal. It turns out that the joy of revenge is not mine. It just shows that you are a decent and immaculate person, Constantine objected vehemently, and the void is filled with time. Do you know what kind of women I sometimes meet in my line of work? Intelligent, subtle, delicate. I promise to take a closer look in this sense. You solve your affairs, matchmaker, laughed Inikin Borisovic. You close yourself off in front of Valentina like a child, but I see everything. I made her assistant manager and sent her to study. What are you waiting for? When it fledges, stands up and takes it away from you. They won't take me away, Constantine objected vehemently. I asked her to marry me yesterday, and she agreed. Well, thank God, he has matured. Inikin Borisovic was still smiling. Since you are now a shoemaker with boots, you can let me know if someone smart and delicate appears. Now get ready to serve the brandy. The pork ribs are on the way.